Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another review. For this one we are going to continue on with my Japanese sake reviews, and if memory serves me correctly, this is sake review number 13 that I'm doing for you. For this one we're going to continue on with the Kyushu mini-series that I've been doing over the last couple of videos, and this review comes to you from the third prefecture that I visited in Kyushu with my girlfriend and my cousin. So for the first time we are going to Oita prefecture, and we're trying my first ever sake from Kayashima Shuzo, who sell their sakes under the name Nishinoseki, which literally translates into English as Grand Champion of the West. So this particular sake is called the Tezukuri Junmai, which comes in at 15% alcohol, and it is a Junmai Seishu. So Junmai means that it is a pure rice sake. All its alcohol content comes from the rice fermentation itself. There's no distilled alcohol added to it. If that was the case, it would be a Honjozo rather than a Junmai, and Seishu literally means that it is a clear filtered sake. So this one, the opposite of that of course is Nigori, and you've seen me review a few of the unfiltered Nigori sakes on the channel before as well. But really looking forward to this one. I was very lucky to get a hold of this because when I was in Oita I couldn't find an Oita sake to buy, and I got a hold of this one in Nagasaki in a shop there. I asked them if they had any, and they happened to pull one out of the cabinet for me. And you know, Japanese sake is a very regional, sometimes just prefectural product, so I was very lucky to get a hold of this. So a huge thank you to the guys in Nagasaki that sold me this one, and as I said, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do from Kayashima Shuzo. Very first time I'm trying one of their sakes. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for sake based on country, city, prefecture, county, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers and whiskies and sakes and stuff from different places. I do currently have just one list for the sakes, but if I do more of them I will make prefectural lists as well. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other sakes and sake breweries and things like that that you guys would like to see me check out. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Kayashima Shuzo then and their Nishinoseki brand, on to my brewery notes. So this company was founded back in 1873 as Kayashima Sake Brewery, and it can be found in Kunisaki, which is a little kind of peninsula, if you like, on the northeast corner of Oita Prefecture on Kyushu in Japan. Kyushu, incidentally, if you're wondering where that is, that's the southernmost of the 4 Japanese main islands, or the 4 Japanese home islands, I guess, if you can call them that. But they adopted the name Nishinoseki as a tribute to the second president of the company. Nishi, as I mentioned to you earlier, comes from the Japanese word for west, and Seki literally comes from the word Grand Champion. I'm just wondering if I've mixed up Nishi with East actually. No, the Higashi is East. So yeah, this is one of the things that confuses me, because they say that this sake is the Grand Champion of West Japan, but to me Oita Prefecture is definitely in the south, and Japan kind of curves around like this. So I can see why they would say, if Kyushu is down here, I can see why they would say it's West Japan, but to me Kyushu generally is more like South Japan. So you know, their sort of concept of geography is a little bit different here, I guess we should say. But the interesting thing about this brewery is that most of the brewery buildings that they have are old wooden huts, essentially, that were built around 1900, and in fact in 1997 they were registered as National Heritage. So this is one of the few sake breweries, from what I remember, whose buildings are listed under the, you know, that are basically protected by the government. So it's very difficult for these guys to do anything to them, from what I gather. But the company's passed down the generations of the Kayashima family. It's currently in the hands of Susuma Kayashima, who's the 5th generation of his family to run the brewery. Their current head brewer is Shigeaki Hirano, if I've pronounced that correctly, and he says that the brewery like to incorporate 5 essential tastes into their sake. This is sweetness, acidity, spiciness, bitterness and sourness. And they do have a hell of a lot of different sakes that you can get. There's Honjozos there's Daiginjos, there are Junmais, you know, there's various other things in there as well. So for a company that is quite small by their production volume, I think they only make around 10 million yen a year, from what I was gathering, which, you know, for a a brewery company really isn't that big when you consider the size of the beer breweries and things like that here. This is a very, very small family-run company, in fact. You know, for a brewery that is very, very small, they do have an impressive range of different sakes. So yeah, that was all the information that I was able to find on Kayashima Shuzo and their Nishinoseki, sakes. So yeah, hopefully for my next review I can find a little bit more. But as I've told you, when it comes to these these sake reviews, it can be very difficult to get a hold of the information because the companies are so small and it's a very, very niche market and a very regional product. In fact, that's one of the sad things about Japan, in fact, is that they produce some really awesome regional produce like wines and sakes and shochus and stuff like this, but very often you won't find them outside of their home prefecture, just because one, the company is so small, and two, the distribution networks that they have in Japan are not very good generally. It's very unfortunate, in fact, because I think a lot of people would really appreciate Japanese products a lot more if they got out there a little bit more. But yeah, a really interesting company, this one, and if you want to learn more, like I say, check out the brewery website in the description below. But let's get on to the actual tasting of this sake itself then. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 15% Junmai Seishu, so a pure rice sake, and it is clear as the Seishu indicates. So I'll let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. You know, nicely presented. All of these sakes, incidentally, from Kayashima Shuzo have this sort of central label to them, and there you can see it, the little top label there. Actually, this one, there's another one that's very similar to it, which, if I remember correctly from the website, was a Honjozo. But yeah, really nicely presented. It doesn't say, this one technically would be, it's a Seishu Junmai Ginjo, because the rice, by the looks of it, is milled down to 60%, so that would make it a ginjo rather than a dai ginjo, where the rice is milled down to 50% of its original size. So yeah, there you can see, there's the bottle cap on this one. I really wonder why they choose green glass and clear glass and stuff like this, and some of them choose brown glass. I wonder if there is a real effect to that, as there is with craft beer when it comes to Japanese sake. But nicely presented one. This, you know, these labels are very kind of classic in Japanese. It reminds me a lot of the German beers, in fact. But let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the taste. And I'm curious just to see how this one turns out. And this, the little lid is sticking on here. We can put that back over. But yeah, we'll see what this guy looks like. This one looks like it might have... This one's got a little bit of a green tinge to it. As I've always said to you, most of the sakes that you'll come across, they either have a very slight blue or green tinge to them. This one, to me, this one's actually a little bit in the middle. It's like a very, very light bluey green kind of colour, this one, but pretty much it is see-through. You can see that. And it's interesting because usually it's just the different types of rice and of course the different soils and stuff that they're grown in that determine what kind of colour you'll get out of the sake. But to me, this one comes across as having a very light sort of, very kind of light turquoisey blue-green kind of colour, but it looks absolutely lovely. There's nothing overly surprising about the appearance of this one. You know, a lot of the sakes do tend to have a very similar colour. Some of them can have a slightly yellowish tinge as well, from what I remember. Some of them I'm sure I've even seen are having a kind of reddish, purpley tinge, but they tend to be the sort of plum sakes and stuff like this. But yeah, really nice looking one, this. Let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on then. Ooh. Now, this one smells like it's got a lot going on in it. You can pick out there's a good bit of a floral edge to this one, some nice grassy notes in there as well. The rice does have a good little bit of a sweet presence also. If you take it in a bit more deeply, it's definitely the sort of it's definitely the kind of floral and grassy notes that are kind of sticking to the front. There is a little bit of a kind of apricot-y, tropical-y fruit to this one, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, definitely a sort of tropically fruit edge to this one. I really want to say it's like a sort of papaya, maybe very slightly like mango, apricot-y kind of thing. There is a little bit of a tropical edge to this one, as I've repeated a few times now. It's more leaning towards the apricot. It's almost like an apricot yogurty type thing that's coming out of this, but a really nice sweetness kind of sitting there underneath. Some grassy floral notes coming off, so it does have a little bit of a floral spiciness to it, which is interesting. Not really picking up anything in terms of earthiness. There's a little touch. I think there might be a little touch of an acidity to this one. You sometimes get that with the kind of grassy side of the sake. But it does smell really nice, this one. This is one I think that leans towards the floral sweet side of the spectrum. Floral sweet fruity side of the spectrum rather than anything else. As I've told you with sake before, I'm by no means an expert, but the thing that you should rate sake on is impact, floral quality, sweetness, earthiness, acidity, fruitiness, impact, and also the tail. Actually, you should rate it on 7 or 8 different things. But yeah, it smells really nice, this one, leaning, as I said, towards the sweeter, fruity, but also quite floral side of things. And I do like this. As I've told you before, when it comes to sake, you get it's a slightly more narrow flavour spectrum, if you like, but you can get all these different subtleties within that very narrow spectrum of flavour, and that's why I really enjoy tasting these for you. But let's have a taste of this one then and just see how we get on. So this one is the Tezukuri Junmai, which is a Junmai Ginjo Seishu, if I'm putting all the words in there properly, from Kayashima Shuzo. They're in Nishinoseki range from Oita Prefecture in Japan. Let's get stuck in. Slanja, Skål, Kampai. Oh yeah. Now this is another one that really hits the spot for me. This one, you can feel the alcohol warmth on this one a little bit down in the chest. But I really like how this goes together. It leans, to me, this one leans towards the sweetness of the rice. By no means is this one as dry and as floral and things like that as you would expect from the aroma. I thought this would have a good little bit of a floral tail to it, but really, while it does have a little bit of that floral tail, it's nowhere near as kind of intense as I was expecting. Yeah, that's, I have to say, that's a really quite nice sake, this one. I mean, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I like the ones that have this really nice balance between the floral quality and the sweetness, and this one really does kind of tick those boxes for me. As I always say, when it comes to sakes and whiskies and beers and stuff like that, it's very subjective. Different people enjoy different things. You know, that's just how it goes. Yeah, so let's try and break the flavour of this one down a little bit then. When it comes to the impact of this sake, again, it comes in, has a very smooth impact for me. It comes in and it's just quite oily, and the sweetness really just spreads its way across the middle of the tongue, which is very, very nice. There is a little subtle kind of hint of earthiness to this one just underneath, but really that's very, very minimal. You notice it a little bit more in the tail end, you notice it a little bit more in the aftertaste, but mainly the centre of your palate is generally quite sweet and quite a nice oily, ricey flavour in there. And I do like this. I mean, all of these sake breweries use different types of yeast and different types of rice in their sakes as well, and you really can taste the difference once you try a few of these. And to me, this one's a really nice, oily, quite sweet rice that they've used in this one. So yeah, like I said, little touch of an earthy subtlety to this one, but mainly quite sweet in the middle of the palate. At the very back of the tongue, there's a nice, at the very back corners of the palate, there is a nice little bit of an earthiness and maybe even slightly herbal quality there. And as you come further forward, you can feel there is a little bit of a floral quality there. The floralness of this sake really is around the edge of the palate, and I can see what they mean. The head brewer was saying that he likes to have a little bit of spiciness in his sakes, and you do get that. The floral qualities out of this one do just have that little spicy edge to them, which is nice. And I would say that the spiciness is particularly noticeable kind of on the back corners, but also on the front corners of your palate as well. That's where it's really noticeable. Round the front edge of your tongue, It does have a little bit of a floral quality there, but it's a little bit more kind of grassy rather than anything else. It is a little bit lighter and grassy there on the front corners of the palette, but you know, it comes across really quite nicely, in fact. So you know, thumbs up to the guys at Kayashima Shuzo for this. They pulled off a nice sake here in my mind. Yeah, when it comes to the acidity of this one, there is a little bit of that. You can feel it when you start to move into the tail end of the sake. You can feel that there's a little bit of acidity to this one. By no means is it bitter or anything like that, but you do get a little bit of that acidity on the front of your palate. The fruity side of this one, it's quite a grassy fruitiness. There is a little bit of an apricot-y there's a little bit of an apricot-y. Maybe it's not quite sharp enough to be peach, it's a little bit apricot-y papaya kind of thing, and that sort of comes out a little bit more the further that you go into the aftertaste of this one. There's maybe even a little touch of mango or something in there. But there is a little bit of that slightly more tropical fruity note coming out of this one, and it sort of integrates a little bit with the grassy flavours that you get out of this sake. But yeah, the further you go into the flavour of this one, the tail end of it, it does start to get a little bit drier. You get more of those floral, spicy notes out of it, and some of the juicy fruitiness, but also the sweetness of the rice in the centre of your palate is pushing its way out a little bit more as well. So to me, this is one that's very kind of finely balanced between the sweetness, the floral quality, and also the kind of spiciness too. So I do see what they mean there. I don't get so much of the sour quality out of this one, like the brewer was saying. He said that he wanted to have a little bit of a sour quality in there, but I definitely get a little bit of the kind of bitterness. You know, that floral quality does come across as a little bit bitter. It's got the floralness, it's got a little touch of sweetness in there. It's one of these ones where it's all about how the flavours kind of blend together. And in the general spectrum of sakes, I would say that this is one of the more sweet and floral ones that I've come across actually. So if those are the kind of things that tick the boxes for you, this is one that you are going to enjoy. In terms of the overall mouthfeel of this one, I would say this one does have a good bit of an oily character to it. By no means is it the most oily sake that I've come across. That tends to be reserved for the likes of the daiginjos and stuff like that, which are the higher alcohol, the sweeter ones. But this one, it does have a little bit of an oiliness from the sweetness, but it also has a bit of dryness and bitterness to it as well. But I mean, overall, it is really nice, and I don't think I'm going to have any problems finishing off the bottle with my girlfriend and her family and stuff like that. This is a really nice, quite sweet Seishu Junmai Ginjo. This one, if putting it all together properly. That's the difficult thing with the sakes, especially when you don't read the kanji so well. But a really nice sake, this one. If you like your sakes to be a little bit more bitter and floral, but also sweet at the same time, this is one of the ones that will tick the boxes for you in that regard. So yeah, have a go at this one for yourself and just see what you think. But I have to admit, with my limited knowledge of sake at the moment, this is one that I have been quite impressed with, and I do hope I can try a few more of their sakes at some point soon. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this one is the Tezukuri Junmai, if I'm pronouncing its name correctly, from the Nishinoseki brand of sakes from Kayashima Shuzo in Oita Prefecture on Kyushu in Japan. A really nice one, this, and I'm glad I was able to review it for you here on the channel. As I said, I was quite lucky to be able to get a hold of an Oita sake, and it's a prefecture that I do need to get back and visit because it's famous for its camping and for its onsens, of course, and Kyushu generally is very beautiful, but the island itself, if you like, is known more for its shochu rather than its nihonshu, so just bear that in mind if you go and visit there. But thank you again for watching my reviews, and I will catch you guys very soon. This one is the Tezukuri Junmai from the Nishinoseki range at Kayashima Shuzo in Oita Prefecture in Japan. Until the next time, it's Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you check out my other reviews, and make sure you check out some sakes from this brewery, and let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Slange, Skull, Kampai, cheers.